Good evening. Today my guest is the first Deputy Speaker of the Riksdag, the Parliament of the Kingdom of Sweden, Mr. Kenneth Forslund. Good evening, Mr. Forslund. Welcome to Armenia and thanks for accepting the interview request.
Thank you for having me.
Sweden has a strong tradition of promoting democracy and human rights globally. How can Sweden assist Armenia in advancing these values domestically and regionally?
Well, we're about to start a cooperation between the Swedish Parliament and the Armenian Parliament. We actually had the first meeting some days ago to start preparing for it. It will be cooperation between our two parliaments during 2 years' time approximately. We will start by discussing what does the Armenian Parliament want to have help with developing to improve their processes, working procedures and so on. So that is very much about how to do the parliamentary work, the decisions, what comes out of them. That is up to the Armenian parliamentarians.
And how can parliamentary diplomacy help address the challenges Armenia faces now in the region?
Well, I think it's always important that parliamentarians between countries and in regions and globally are in contact with each other, talking to each other, and helps out with ideas and support. I mean, where there is a need in one country, parliamentarians there can make contact with parliamentarians in one or several other countries that could push their own government in that country or those countries to start acting to support the country in need, so to say.
And Mr. Forslund, how does Sweden view Armenia's European integration process and what role can it play in supporting this aspiration?
Well, Sweden is a very open country when it comes to enlargement of the European Union. All 8 parties in the Swedish Parliament is basically in favor of that. Even parties who are actually opposing the Swedish EU membership is in favor of enlargement of the European Union for Eastern European countries and other neighboring countries, because it's a way to improve the democracy, it's a way to improve the living standard and the prosperity in those countries. And we have seen that happen with former enlargement, and we're looking forward to see that in the future too. So we're very focused on that. And at the same time, we're also very specific on the fact that it has to be merit-based. There are goals you have to meet, standards you have to meet. There is a long series of preparatory work to qualify for the membership. That was the case even for Sweden 30 years ago. It was a tough process for Sweden, which back then already was a developed democratic country, prosperous and so on. Still, there was a long process preparing, changing regulation, adapting to different EU standards and so on. So it's a lot of homework that you have to do to meet the criteria. But when you meet them, when you have the merits, then our thought is that then you also should be given the possibility to actually have the membership, if you want it.
And regarding the cooperation between our two countries, in what ways can our countries deepen their cooperation, bilateral relations in different spheres like economy, trade, sustainable, renewable energy, etc.?
There is definitely room for improvement and to have more trade between our two countries. Sweden is a very advanced country, technically advanced. We have a lot of the technology that you need to have for a green transition. So we have both the knowledge and we have products and services that you need to make that process happen and be successful. So I think that there are a lot of things that we could do together.
And Mr. Forslund, such a question, how does Sweden view the South Caucasus region's role in broader European security frameworks? Also Armenia's role in those frameworks?
Well, Sweden have a long tradition of being very actively when it comes to diplomacy, peace building, development processes in various countries in the world. So we have a lot of experience in that area, and we also have a lot of ambitions in that area. So we're very interested to help out, but of course it also has to be based upon what are the will and the need in Armenia. We're always focusing on what is actually the country that we are cooperating with, what they are asking for. It's not what we would want or be willing to give, it's what's needed and fruitful for the country.
And also, how do you assess the overall situation now in the South Caucasus region, also Armenia's relations with its neighbors?
Well, it's obvious that there are a lot of relations that should be mended and developed, and I think that the best way to do that is through diplomacy. And if Sweden in any way could help out practically in that area, we're of course willing to do that. We have the experience of facilitating different negotiations and other things, so we have a lot to lean back on when we come to a country and try to help out.
Thanks for the interview, Mr. Forslund.
Thank you.
Today my guest was the first Deputy Speaker of the Riksdag, the Parliament of the Kingdom of Sweden, Mr. Kenneth Forslund. Thanks for watching us.